Dwayne Haskins was once one of the most promising QB prospects in recent memory. Now he has become the NFL's most tragic what-if story. In this video, I will go into detail about what went wrong in Haskins' career, how he worked hard to try and get back on track, and the heartbreaking way that his tale finished. And be warned, this is going to be a sad video. What's going on there, guys? Darren here from 610 Football. Make sure you hit that subscribe button for some of the best football content out on YouTube. Before Saturday, April 9th, Haskins was really known as a QB who failed in the NFL after being drafted 15th overall, but was slowly trying to make his way back into a starting role. And he had a pretty good chance to do that this year for the Steelers. There was no guarantee that Mitchell Trubisky was going to be the starter after Pittsburgh signed him, so Haskins had a fighting chance to re-earn his starting job back. But unfortunately, we will never be able to see how Haskins would have turned out with the Steelers. Before we talk about his tragic accident, I think it's important to discuss how his career went down. Haskins' journey started like most other promising QBs, lighting up the game while still in high school. Haskins grew up in New Jersey before moving to Maryland to begin his high school career. After he moved, he attended the Bullis School in Potomac, a town that was just northeast of Washington, D.C. on the Maryland-Virginia border. Haskins would light it up while in high school. He would finish his career throwing for over 5,000 yards and 54 touchdowns. 24/7 Sports had him ranked as a 4-star prospect, being the number 7 pro-style quarterback in the nation. When it came time for Haskins to choose where he would continue his academic career, he ended up staying in-state with Maryland, choosing the Terps over his next option, Rutgers. But Haskins would never end up going to Maryland. After head coach Randy Edsall was fired, Haskins ended up decommitting from the university. So naturally, you would think that he would go with his number 2 option, Rutgers, right? Well, he actually did the exact opposite. Haskins would flip his commitment to The Ohio State University. I think any football player ever would agree with his choice to go to Ohio State as opposed to Rutgers. This is where things really took off for young Simba. Haskins would see very limited action in his first 2 years. He took a redshirt his freshman year and backed up JT Bennett his second season. His sophomore season in 2018 is when the college football and NFL worlds started to learn about Dwayne Haskins. In his lone year as a starter, Haskins would go on to break the Ohio State and Big Ten record for passing yards in the season, with over 4,800. He also went on to become just the 7th quarterback in college football history to throw for 50 or more touchdowns in a season. Haskins would also claim more records for Ohio State, including most total offense in the season, total offensive yards in a game, and total passing yards in a game. And I hope Haskins invested in a large trophy case. Following his outstanding campaign, he would win the Sammy Baugh Trophy, the Kellen Moore Award, the Chicago Tribune Silver Football, the Graham George Offensive Player Award, and the Greasy Breeze Quarterback of the Year. Haskins did fall short of winning the most prestigious award of them all, the Heisman Trophy, coming in 3rd place to Tua Tagovailoa and Kyler Murray. After just 1 season, Haskins was able to become the greatest quarterback that the Buckeyes have ever seen. And after finishing the season ranked number 5 overall in the nation, Haskins would have an opportunity to add a Rose Bowl win to his already impressive resume. Haskins showed out in the Rose Bowl, throwing for 3 touchdowns en route to beating one of the best defenses in the nation, while also earning Rose Bowl MVP honors. But unfortunately for Haskins, this would be the peak of his career, as his football journey would take a major downhill turn from here. A few weeks after his Rose Bowl win, Haskins announced that he would forego his last 2 years of eligibility and enter the NFL draft. Looking back on NFL scouting reports, the general consensus was that Haskins was a pretty raw prospect due to him only starting 13 games in college. But scouts could see the talent he had, but were also very wary of his flaws. Haskins was bound to be a 1st-round pick, and he was hoping it would be from the New York Giants, the team he grew up rooting for when he was a child in Jersey. but they decided to go with a different guy. Instead, he went to his second hometown team when Washington drafted him with the 15th overall pick. But before Washington could even draft him, issues have already started to arise. Both head coach Jay Gruden and president Bruce Allen did not want for the team to draft Haskins. However, owner Daniel Snyder overruled both of them and drafted the former Buckeyes QB number 15th overall. Haskins had a really rough rookie campaign. In the first game he ever played, he ended up tossing 3 interceptions. Reports actually came out later saying that Gruden put Haskins into the game versus the Giants just to show Schneider how far he was from being a capable starting NFL QB. Ouch. He would end up starting Washington's last 7 of 8 games where he performed alright. It was closer to being bad than good, but he got the job done. But going into 2020, the expectations were high for Haskins. He had been named one of the team's captains, plus he shed a lot of fat on his body. He also had a full year of what it felt like to be an NFL QB and was expected to take a huge leap from year 1 to year 2. Not to mention he now has a great head coach with Ron Rivera. But he failed to take that leap. After winning the season opener against the Eagles, Haskins was unable to lead the football team into the win column again that season. He was benched following the Week 4 loss to the Ravens. Even though he had thrown for a career-high 314 passing yards, he was not doing enough to help the team win. After 8 weeks of riding the bench, Haskins was granted a second chance but failed to make the most of it. He came in to replace Alex Smith against the 49ers and started the team's next 2 games, and continued to struggle on the field. After the loss to the Seahawks in Week 15, Haskins was spotted at a strip club after the game maskless. Then in his next game, he tossed 2 interceptions and he lost to Carolina. That would be the last time Haskins would ever see an NFL field, as Washington would waive him the next day. So why did Haskins struggle with Washington? Well, after the team waived him, a lot of reports came out about his off-field issues. And it's not like he was out doing bad things, it just turned out Haskins was just lazy. According to Dan Lyons of Sports Illustrated, coaches were shocked by Haskins' constant late arrival to meetings, failure to master the playbook, and refusal to prepare for games as NFL quarterbacks do. The reports also went on to say how his poor throws would carry over into games from practice. But coaches on both Gruden's and Rivera's staff were confused by all of this because Haskins was a super nice dude. He wasn't arrogant, he wasn't cocky, and he wasn't hard to work with. So coaches were left shocked when a guy who was as nice and as talented as Haskins just didn't have the work ethic to succeed in the NFL. Now, I did just say a lot of negative things about Haskins. This video was not meant at all to bash him, not in the slightest. It's important to understand how much Haskins struggled in Washington to tell the story of his career, because that makes his next chance all the more important to him and his tale. A few weeks after being waived by Washington, the Pittsburgh Steelers would sign Haskins to a reserve futures deal. This was probably the best situation Haskins could go into to turn his career around. He would get to learn under Ben Roethlisberger for a year, plus he goes to a team that has had a lot of success when it comes to developing offensive players. The organization as a whole was also a lot better ran than where he was before in Washington. Haskins took all of 2021 to sit out on the bench and learn and develop, being activated only once. Following Ben's retirement, Haskins would have the opportunity to earn a starting job again, but he would have to compete against former first-round pick Mitchell Trubisky to do so. However, tragically, Haskins never got that chance. On Saturday, April 9th, Dwayne Haskins died after being struck by a dump truck on Interstate 595 in Fort Lauderdale in Florida. Haskins was in the state training with other Steelers teammates in preparation for the season. There is still very little information available about Haskins' death. The 24-year-old's passing sent shockwaves around the NFL and poured in massive memorials about the former first-round QB, who many loved and were friends with. May he rest in peace.